Hi traders, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John, on this Thursday, the 7th of September. Just keeping an eye on our Aussie US dollar here. I actually updated the Discord. If you're not in the Discord channel just yet, we know it's in sort of beta testing mode at the moment. But if you do want to get in touch with us on how you can do that, then please head over to the contact page and drop us an email. But essentially, I've just given a quick update. Let me just bring this over and just kind of talk you through the update. So this is what we do once we're in a position. We talk about why we got in the position, some updates to whilst we're in the position. So you can see we got triggered here at 3 p.m. after the US non-manufacturing PMI data. This morning I just gave a little bit of an update because price hasn't really done what we expected it to do so far. We're actually just kind of moving sideways. So the thing is, when we are in these positions, we want to analyze and look at whether the narrative that we initially entered on is still that primary source of our conditions. So essentially we need to ask ourselves the question, if we were to take the position now, does it meet our entry criteria? And at the moment the conditions are starting to change. You can see here, basically did a little bit of a commentary to say that the Oz trade balance news overnight came in lower than forecast, which is essentially a good thing. However, price has just gone a little bit sideways. Now, we have a couple of technical insights that go against the position, but the market is technically in a downward trend, and we are now into European markets, which can diverge from the Asia session, which is obviously something that does happen. Sometimes we can see the Asia session move sideways or even rally, and then the European session comes in and we see an opposite move to that. It's not always the case, but there can be conditions where that does happen. And some observations that we made was that the price had breached a trendline resistance on the H1 time frame, forming from the high of the 1st of September candle. It's also breached the H150 moving average, and we are still below the previous highs of 0.64 on the H1 chart, which is our last line of defense at the moment, is what the latest update is. Now, what I'm looking at here is kind of, is this worth holding for us to either again try and profit from, or is it something where we're in this and the momentum's not really there? Okay, because at the end of the day we want to be in one of these trades where we have obviously we want to be following the momentum of the market, and if those conditions have changed, again we have to ask ourselves the question, is it really worth holding for, you know, at the moment we're in 3 pips loss. So again, we have to ask ourselves, would we rather just take a 3 pip loss here, which is like nothing, rather than a 4% risk loss? And then if the conditions come back to us, then there's something that maybe we can look at and trade with momentum again. That's something that is part of that sort of trade management plan. Now, at the moment, the points sort of that I'm going to raise here, obviously I'll make a decision as to what we do with this market, but I just want to kind of show you what we have sort of in favor at the moment. Okay, so I've kind of talked about the negatives in terms of the breach of the bearish trend line here. If we look at the left hand side chart here on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we got a close above that trend line resistance. The only thing that's keeping me saying that, you know, there is still some positives is that we are still sub 0.6400. The stochastic at the moment on the 4-hour time frame, although K is slightly above 20, D is still below 20, which is something that could be a positive for us. Subsequently, that matched with the hourly time frame, we can see that the stochastic is still below 80 at this current moment in time. At one point on this candlestick, it was above 80. It did reach above 80. Now you can see K is now around 74.40 and D is 73.50. So the line is kind of merging towards each other, okay, which can be a positive. One of the things that I don't like about price is that we are range bound. Okay, the market has now changed. So when we initially entered the market, or the conditions where we entered the market was the fact that we could have been moving back into that primary phase. So if I just grab a quick line tool here or drawing tool here, we can see that the market was in a primary phase, secondary phase, primary phase, secondary phase. Now, this was an area where we expected the primary phase to jump back in. And those conditions haven't continued, okay? We've almost gone sideways now, which means that we're in that secondary condition. Now, this isn't to say that if we were to exit the position here, it's now -5 pips, but if we were to exit the position here, that price wouldn't continue lower, okay? There is a possibility that it could do that. But what I'm trying to get the point across is that if it does do that, okay, then we've got the potential for conditions to be met again, and we just look for another position, okay? The risk that we're running at the moment is that it doesn't do that, and price then rallies to the upside. We hit our 6,400 area. We've got to let 6,400 breathe. If it rejects and then breaks through, then we're running the risk of a potential loss, full loss here, okay? Now, the flip side of that is we do have strong dollar data coming up today as well. If I go over to our live economic calendar, if I just move this out a little bit, this is the side-by-side view. So you've got the weekly and you've got the daily. If we just go down on the weekly, just because it's got the higher impact data, you can see that we have initial jobs claim coming out at 1:30 with some non-farm productivity as well, and some other bits of data, including crude oil, around about 4 p.m. So we've got high impact news out of the US as well. So again, you have to kind of add that into our flow here and into our analysis to suggest what is the best course of action. Now, I'm going to be looking at a potential close here. Now, I was looking at the stochastic oscillator, and I was looking to see if there were any kind of options here to see the K line drop below the D. Now, we've got 40 seconds on this candlestick, and look at the price action here. It's not really indicative of really strong bearish momentum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my position out here, so -5 pips. Okay, so I've just closed that position out there. I'm just going to update that into the Discord channel as well, because I'd rather take a very small loss here and not have to sort of watch this chart go sideways. Okay, I'd rather wait for price to match back up with the momentum again, and then we can look at some potential moves to the downside once more. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause the video here because I just want to take a screenshot of that for the Discord channel, and then update the Discord, and then go from there. So I'm just grabbing a screenshot right now, and there we go. I'm just going to update the Discord channel, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Right, so I am back just after giving a little bit of a brief overview on the Discord channel, and so yeah. But yeah, basically I've closed this position out now. If I just bring in here, you can see that that position has closed out there. Yeah, basically for me, the conditions are starting to change here. Although we're starting to see some positives in terms of the K could come below D here, like we're seeing over in here, which obviously could help with the position. I just feel like we can allocate some headspace elsewhere. You know, if we sit and watch this chart all day trying to expect that it could do one thing or another, then, you know, I think we're going to be a little bit too sort of held back by this potential position. And like I said, this position could become profitable, but when I'm looking at the conditions that have changed, for me, there are enough reasons to not risk any more capital here. So yeah, obviously that's my decision. Feel free to do what you would like to do. But that for me is what I will be doing. So I'm going to look at some opportunities elsewhere. Unfortunately, that's just one that didn't carry on through for us. Obviously, pound is definitely one that's having a little bit of momentum at the moment, so pound could be something we watch. The only problem we've got here with cable is the fact that we are seeing quite a significant downside play here. We haven't really had any conditions for a pullback to match up with the stochastic in order to see some real opportunities to get involved here. So may have to wait a little bit here on cable. Obviously, the initial jobless claims could push price back to the upside, maybe back into this 125. But we are below the 125 handle now. You know, I've got a level down here around about the 123, 123.50, where price could be heading towards. So there might be some opportunities on this market coming up. Looking at the tables, you can see pound dollar is definitely topping that at the moment. We've got some other opportunities. Euro dollar continues to top that as well. Now, we did talk about euro dollar yesterday. I said I wasn't going to take a position on euro dollar. Arguably, euro dollar was actually a little bit better with the terms of the follow through with momentum. And we talked about this potential setup here. Well, it's actually below that candlestick low at the time. But you can see actually from the stochastic, we had a bit of divergence. Price formed a higher high and the stochastic formed a lower high, so that's arguably a nice entry in here. This would be the sort of current setup if I was to be in that position now, so arguably a little bit better. You'd be about 0.5%, just over 0.5% up, looking to target down at that one spot 0.675. We've also breached trend line support. Now, the only thing I've got with this one as well, a little bit different to Aussie US dollar, is the fact that the 4-hour K is below D here, and we're sub 20 on this 4-hour chart, which is good. Same conditions here as well. So if you are in that position instead, then obviously that one was a little bit better than the Aussie US dollar option. Could that continue to the downside? Absolutely. It could be something that you continue to look at. Again, we do have those initial jobless claims coming out at 1:30 p.m. so that's just something I would be a little bit cautious about. But if we do get any kind of continuation here, we can definitely look for something on this market. Going back into those tables, you can see that CAD is also a strong currency. So let's go take a look at Euro CAD. I haven't actually looked at Euro CAD, to be honest, going into today's session. But what can we tell from EuroCAD? So I'm just going to go up into our daily time frame here. Just get rid of some of these tools. Now, what is going on here? Well, we can see that price has obviously had a little bit of sideways movement through there. You can see that the highs came in around about this 147.80 and the low of it was down sort of at the 146.75. You can see the market trading between that area. Price then traded out of that. We had a little bit of a pullback, and then we've started to see a continuation to the downside. What I like about this as well from a stochastic point of view is that you can see that we started to push lower here. Does it look like we're going to see a follow through? Well, you can see that K is below D on the daily time frame at this current moment in time, with sub 20 as well, which could be a good point for sellers to look at further downside. If we look at where price could go to, we've got this kind of zone in here, haven't we, with the lows of that zone being around about the 1.45 handle. So that could also be something which the market could look for a breakdown. Looking at the hourly, we had a nice little move in here. Look, the price came up into our averages, back into that sort of 146.75, and then we had the sort of breakdown of the stochastic, and prices followed through so far. So yeah, we could be looking at something here. If I just go down to the 4 hour, what's that telling us? Yeah, you can see K below D, price heading down towards that area as well. So EuroCAD, there could be something on the cards here. In terms of setup wise, we need to probably just wait slightly. I can see that we're breaching this trend line support as well. But yeah, let's just see how this one plays out, because I would like to see, you know, maybe another move back up into the 80 there. Whether we get that or not is going to be something, you know, that's a different question. Maybe if we look at the lower time frame, look at 30 minutes, a bit of a riskier time frame to look at it, but maybe if we get something like this, 50, 200, above 80, crossing back over, then there we could look at maybe something that you're going to see price come back down into that 145 handle. Going on to pound CAD then. So it's actually a good thing we stayed away from cable yesterday. Cable was actually on the tables as a strong currency yesterday, and we had a little look around and we said it wasn't, the conditions weren't looking great for cable, or it's not cable but pound. When we looked at the overall market shape. It was down yesterday. If I just go up to the daily chart here on pound CAD, for instance, you can see very strong bearish close. That looks to be following through into today as well. We did get a sort of opportunity form around about 6:30 a.m. but obviously, you know, I wasn't really at the charts at 6:30 a.m. this morning, so that wasn't something that I was particularly looking at the time. But it doesn't mean that we can't look for pullbacks. You know, we've got this zone in here where obviously we found some support, and now we've traded through it. You know, maybe there could be a condition where, let's say today we get this bearish close like this, tomorrow price could pull back into that one spot 0.50 area, 200 moving average running through, stochastic over 80. You know, that could be something we look at. I mean, if I go to the hourly chart as well, it could be the same condition. You know, obviously we're below sub 20 now, which is giving us that sort of bearish momentum to the downside. So what I would be looking for here potentially is something like that. Hopefully the 50 and the 200 can try and catch up, but you can see the sort of space between that 50 and 200. So the downside is definitely, there's definitely momentum to the downside at the moment. So something like that would be ideal for us to then try and look for a particular entry into this market. Obviously dollar's a strong currency at the moment, so you know, we could be looking at it against other things. I know that obviously we're not in that Aussie US dollar position anymore, but you know, if the right conditions were to be met, we are still below the 0.64 handle. So you know, maybe it's just going to be one of those days where we go a little bit sideways, and you know, if that condition is met there, let's say it closes like this, obviously we have those initial jobless claims, so that might be something that drives the market. But if we close like this and then tomorrow we see a bit of a follow through and then continuation, I just think the momentum's gone here right now, and that's what we want to trade with. We want to trade with momentum. We don't really have it here right now. The momentum is elsewhere. It's in the pound. You know, it's in the pound. It's in the Kiwi at the moment. Kiwi's becoming a bit stronger as well. You know, if we look at pound Kiwi, for instance, very bearish at this current moment in time. It is coming into support, but very, very bearish at this moment. So we'll see how that daily closes as well. See if the Kiwi comes back as a stronger currency. So hopefully that all made sense, guys. I hope you know, that helped in terms of management. And I will catch you in the next video. Let's hope to see, well, let's just see how this one plays out now. I'll keep monitoring it, and you know, I will update if I see anything else in the Discord channel. So if you're not in there already, send us a message, and we'll help you out. So thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.